Hi, welcome back. This is part 4 of chapter 11, class 9 CBSE from the NCERT book. In this part, we are going to be doing the numericals and questions that are given at the end of the chapter. So, I hope you have seen the first three parts before you come to this because all the theoretical part has been explained in the previous parts. So, of course, it is ideal for you to see all of those before. Keep a notebook or a book open with you so that you can just jot down how to solve these questions. We are going to be going step by step. And okay, let's proceed.
The potential energy of a freely falling object decreases progressively. Does this violate the law of conservation of energy, and why? No, it does not, because as the potential energy decreases, the kinetic energy increases. Right? Potential energy decreases, kinetic energy increases. The total mechanical energy of the object remains constant. Therefore, this does not violate the law of conservation of energy. Any potential energy that is decreasing gets converted into kinetic energy. What are the various energy transformations that occur when you're riding a bicycle? Potential energy of so you have kinetic energy, of course. आप उसको you are giving a certain amount of energy that is pushing the chain, and therefore that is getting translated into kinetic energy of the bicycle. So you are using chemical energy of your body to push the pedal and giving it a certain potential energy which gets converted into bicycle ki kinetic energy. Okay. Does the transfer of energy take place when you push a huge rock with all your might and fail to move it? Where is the energy you spend going? We talked about it. If you push a large rock, you don't have enough energy to push it. Where does the energy go? Energy doesn't just disappear. It cannot be destroyed. It gets stored in the body of the rock as potential energy. Okay. So transfer of energy, yes, transfer of energy happens. Yes, and this transfer of energy causes the energy to get stored in the rock as potential energy. Okay. What is the work done by the force of gravity on a satellite moving around the earth? Justify your answer. Now this is slightly complicated, but once I tell you, it will be easy. What is the force done by gravity? जब gravity move हो रही है, we know it is a centripetal force. It is moving in the inward direction. This is the orbit, okay? This is the earth. It is moving in the inward direction. So force is moving in the inward direction, whereas velocity is, the displacement is tangential to it. We have spoken about motion, uniform circular motion enough number of times for you to know that acceleration या फिर force जो होता है, it acts inward, whereas displacement is in this direction. What is work? Work is the force, when a force is applied on an object and it moves in the direction of the force. That is the work done. Here it is not moving in the direction of the force. It is moving in this direction, whereas the force is applied in this direction. Therefore, there is no work done by the force of gravity on the object moving around the earth. Okay, there is no work done. The work done is 0. And how do you justify the answer? You say that the force of gravity working on the satellite is perpendicular to the displacement, therefore no work is done. Can there be displacement of an object in the absence of any force acting on it? Yes. If it is moving with uniform velocity, if there is no acceleration, moving with certain uniform velocity in the absence of frictional force, there is no force acting on it, but it can still be displaced because it is moving with a certain speed. We have done this previously. It has just been asked in a different way. Uniform. Uniform velocity means that the velocity is not changing. Therefore, it is covering the same distance in the same interval of time. but there is no force acting on it because it is not changing. If there was any force acting on it, then the velocity would have changed. That force is called acceleration, right? So uh, uniform velocity mein, when there is no acceleration, there is no force acting on it, it still moves a certain distance in a certain amount of time. Okay, this is an ideal situation though. There is always a certain amount of frictional force and something acting on the object. Therefore, the speed generally gets retarded. तो कुछ ना कुछ force होता ही है. But in ideal situations when there is no frictional force, it remains in a state of inertia. Uniform velocity, it remains in a state of inertia even when there is no force acting on it. Inertia में तभी रहता है when there is no force acting on it. Okay. A person holds a bundle of hay over his head for 30 minutes and gets tired. Has he done any work or not? Justify your answer. He has just held the bundle over his head. The only work he did was when he lifted the bundle of hay from the ground to his head. He did MGH. बस उतना ही उसने काम किया. But we are not talking about him lifting it. We are only talking about him holding it. So if he has just been holding it for 30 minutes, he has not done any work. He has not done any work because there is no displacement. Even though he has used energy which is equal to the weight of the hay against the force of gravity, there is no work done because the displacement is zero. Okay, so that is how you justify the answer, because work done means you have to have force applied and displacement seen. There is no displacement seen, therefore the work done is zero, even though there is a certain force being applied against the force of gravity. Okay, this is the answer.
Okay, so the first question is, a certain force acting on a 20 kg mass changes its velocity from 5 meter per second to 2 meter per second. Calculate the work done by the force. Now, what have you been given? You have been given the mass and you have been given the velocity, the change in velocities also, and the velocities also. So what do you infer from this question? If you have a velocity, it means that it is in motion, which means it has kinetic energy. And what is the work done? The work done is the change in kinetic energy. So what are you going to do? What is the formula for kinetic energy? Half mv square, right? What will be the change in velocity? It will be half m v square minus u square, right? This is the formula for change in velocity, which is the work done. Okay, so we calculate half into 20 into v square is 2 minus 5. Okay, initial velocity is 5 and final velocity is 2, right? So this is 10 minus 30 joule. Why is it minus? Because a negative force applied, the direction of force applied and the direction of displacement is different, because it is reducing the speed. So the work done is less. Work done is negative. Okay, this is the work done. All right. So next question. A mass of 10 kg is at a point A on a table. It is moved to point B. If a line joining A and B is horizontal, what is the work done on the object by gravitational force? Explain your answer. Now we did something like this previously. Um, what happens is, here it is moving horizontally, right? And it is here and it is here. What is the work done by gravitational force? It is uh, right, work done is force into displacement. What is the displacement? The displacement for gravitational force is zero, because if it is at a table, we assume it is a straight table, so it is not going up and down. So gravitational force is acting equally on this and equally on this. And displacement for gravitational force is zero, because even though there is a displacement through the on the table, it is not up and down. Gravitational force only acts downward. if the motion had been either up or down, then it would have been uh, for through the gravitational force or against gravitational force, right? So in this case it is not that, it is moving horizontally and not vertically, therefore the work done by gravitation is zero. Okay, because there is no work done by the gravitation, there is no, the force applied on both of them is the same, but there is no displacement for gravitation. It is not going up and down, it is only moving horizontally, and therefore the work done on the object by gravitational force is zero. Okay, a certain household has consumed 250 units of energy during the month. How much energy is this in joules? Do you remember we did what is 1 kilowatt hour? 1 kilowatt hour is 1 unit, right? What is 1 unit? What is 1 kilowatt? 1 kilowatt hour is 1000 joule per second, and hour, so multiplied by the number of hours. Okay, so here we have been told that in a month they have consumed 250 kilowatt hours. Okay, so what is 250 kilo, how much is this energy in joules? Now for 1 hour, you remember 1 kilowatt hour is how many joules? 3.6 into 10 raised to power 6 joules. Please remember this. So what is the answer for this? This is simple multiplication. What you have to do is you have to multiply 3.6 into 10 raised to power 6 in, by 250, right? So the answer is 900. So 3.6 into 250, 250 into 3.6 is 900. 900 into 10 raised to power 6 joules, which is 9 into 10 raised to power 8 joules, right? This is the answer that you have to give. Okay. An object of mass 40 kg is raised to a height 5 meter above the ground. What is its potential energy? If the object is allowed to fall, find its kinetic energy when it is half down. Now, what do you have to see in this? There are two things that you have to consider. First thing is that you have been given the mass and the height, which means and the potential energy, which means that you have to find the gravitational potential energy. What is gravitational potential energy? mgh, right? So if it is mgh, you just put the values, you put 40 into 9.8 into 5, right? So what is the answer is 200 into 9.8, which is 19, this is 196, 1960 joule. Okay, energy is also joule, work is also joule, please remember that. If the object, this is the maximum potential energy, so this is the total energy of the object at height 5 meter. Now what is the second part you have to remember in this? You have to remember that there is conservation of energy, so the total mechanical energy remain of the object remains conserved. So anytime potential energy starts decreasing, if the object starts to fall, so the object is allowed to fall, which means potential energy is reducing, right? But kinetic energy is increasing proportionately, so that the total mechanical energy remains constant. So what do you have to do here? If the object is allowed to fall, find its kinetic energy when it is half down. So how can you do that? You don't know the velocity. What you can simply do is, you can, if it is half down, you just take a half of it, because if it is 9, if it is halfway down, then what is half of 1960? It is 980. 980 joule will be for kinetic energy and 980 joule will be potential energy. You can also calculate this mathematically by, what you can simply do is, since it is halfway, you have to remember that potential energy halfway. What is potential energy at 2.5 meter? You calculate that. Okay, this is the 1960 joule is the total energy. You calculate the potential energy at 2.5 meter. So 40 into 9.8 into 2.5, which will give you 980 joule. Okay, now this 980 joule is the potential energy at 2.5 meter, which is halfway down. And why have we calculated that? Why have we calculated potential energy instead of kinetic energy as is asked? Because now we can take the difference of this kinetic energy 1960 and this kinetic energy halfway down, and now we get the, sorry, this is potential energy. We take the total energy, total mechanical energy of the object is the highest potential energy and at the highest point, and then we take the potential energy halfway down, and whatever is the remaining energy, right, the remainder is 980 joule. What happened to this energy? It has got transformed into kinetic energy. Now law of conservation of energy says that energy remains conserved, right? So total mechanical energy will remain the same. It will always remain 1960 joule. Therefore, if the potential energy decreases to half, then the half goes to kinetic energy. So this is the kinetic energy. This is your answer. Okay, this is also the explanation you should give. Okay, so an electric heater is rated 1500 watt. How much energy does it use in 10 hours? Now what is the energy power? Same thing, kilowatt hour, right? This is the unit that you use. What is this? How many kilowatts used in how many hours? So if this is given in watts, how much is this in kilowatts? You divide by 1000, right? So it becomes 1.5 kilowatt. And for how long was it used? 10 hours. So to make it power, you make 1.5 into 10, it uses 15 kilowatt hour of energy. Okay, this is the answer. Illustrate the law of conservation of energy by discussing the energy changes which occur when we draw a pendulum bob to one side and allow it to oscillate. Why does the bob eventually come to rest? What happens to its energy eventually? Is it a violation of the law of conservation of energy? Now what is a pendulum? Now I don't have anything else to show you, so I'm using my headphones. A pendulum is something that moves like this, right? So you take it to one side and you leave it. So what happens? It goes to one side, comes back, goes to one side, comes back, right, from this side to that side, this side to that, eventually comes to rest. Now what will happen? Now what happens to this pendulum? When I move it, when I move the bob to this side, for example, it was lying straight. What I do is I give it some amount of potential energy, right? So what happens when I move it to this side? It will eventually start to come back, right? If you leave it, what happens in this case? This potential energy starts getting converted into kinetic energy, therefore it comes down. Now it will eventually reach the second point here, right? From this point it has reached second point. So let this be point 1, let this be point 2, right? It has reached second point, and around midway the kinetic energy has been the highest. Now why is this? This is also related to gravitational force, right? Because if you take it up, you are giving it some displacement against gravity, right? So if you take it up now, agar, if you look at this pendulum, right, and you take it up, it has gone up against gravity. Now if you leave it, it comes at the centermost point, it is closest to gravity. So at this point the kinetic energy is the highest, it is closest to the ground. And then when it starts to move up again, the kinetic energy starts getting converted into potential energy again. How much will this potential energy be? In ideal situation, the entire potential energy of one gets converted into kinetic energy, and this entire kinetic energy gets converted into potential energy of 2 at the second position. If you remember the first law of motion, um, you had been given this example that if a ball is released from a slope, in an ideal frictionless situation it will continue to move until it is acted upon by an external force, right? So it will continue to move, but this doesn't happen in ideal situation. This happens only in the ideal situation, not in real life, because there is a force of friction acting against the direction of motion. Now the similar case is found here. Now when there is a bob which is moving like this, Okay, these are the two positions, right? Position 1, position 2. This is in normal situation, there are a lot of air particles. Lot of air particles here. By law of conservation of momentum and the law of conservation of energy, whenever one of these, whenever the bob meets, interacts with these points, with these particles of air, for example, or the molecules of gas or whatever there is, I'm just going to call it a particle in this case, right? So it meets this, it interacts with this particle, and it, by law of conservation of momentum and by law of conservation of energy, this energy gets a bit transferred to the air particle, right? And this air particle starts to move in a certain direction. For example, if it meets like this, the air particle will start moving in this direction, for example. Now what happens by the law of conservation of energy, if this pendulum bob has given some energy to it, it will lose exactly that much energy. So वन ये पेंडुलम बॉब ने जितनी एनर्जी लूज की उतनी ही वो पार्टिकल को मिलती है, एंड इट कीप्स इंटरेक्टिंग विद अ लॉट ऑफ एयर पार्टिकल्स ऑन द वे. So what happens is it eventually starts to give off its energy as kinetic energy to different air particles, right? By the time it reaches to, it has already lost some energy, so it will not reach the exact same angle. Now this angle, for example, would be 60 degrees, for example. If you take it, if there is no loss of energy, if there is absolutely no loss of energy, if this is done in vacuum, there is no interaction with air particles, so what happens is it will also reach 60 degrees. But in this case, what will happen, the degree will keep coming down, 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 down until it reaches there, right? So it keeps losing energy as it makes this journey, and then it keeps losing energy when it comes back. At every given point, it is losing energy by interacting with air particles and therefore transferring some of its energy into those air particles, right? It is not losing energy, it is transferring energy to those air particles. The energy is not lost, it is only transferred to those air particles which are interacting with the pendulum bob. So why does the bob eventually come to rest? Because it is interacting with the air particles, and therefore it is transferring its energy to those air particles by law of conservation of energy, and therefore it finally loses its energy, having transferred all of its energy to the air particles surrounding it. Therefore the bob eventually comes to rest. What happens to its energy eventually? Transferred to air particles. And is it a violation of law of conservation of energy? No, because this bob is losing its energy by giving it to the air particles, and those air particles are getting that energy. So the law of conservation of energy is not violated. Okay. An object of mass m is moving with a constant velocity v. How much work should be done on the object to bring the object to rest? Now, what is work? What has been given? It is mass m and constant velocity v, which means it has a certain kinetic energy. What is work? It is change in kinetic energy. Delta here means change. Now we use a mathematical formula. Okay, work is change in kinetic energy. Let this constant velocity be v1. Okay, because we are bringing it to rest, we are changing the velocity. So let this be v1. So change in kinetic energy would be, this is v2. The energy after, no, let's not discuss that it is at rest. Let's just see the change in energy, how much work is being done. So we have to put a certain amount of work to change velocity from v1 to v2. What is the change in velocity? Half m v2 square minus half m v1 square. Is it not? Right. It is that. This is the change in velocity, change in kinetic energy is the work done. Now you know that the object has to be brought to rest. So v2 is equal to 0. If v2 is equal to 0, v2 into m is 0. This whole thing becomes 0. So work will become 0 minus half mv1 square. So what is the value of v in this case? It is, what is the value of w in this case? W will be minus half mv1 square. What does this imply? This implies that the work done is equal and opposite to the energy, kinetic energy. Okay, in order to bring an object to rest, you have to give equal and opposite kinetic energy. It is negative because it is in the displacement is in the opposite direction. The work done is opposite to the movement of the object. Therefore, the work done is negative, right? The work done, for example, if the object is moving in this direction, you have to do work in this direction in order to bring it to rest. That is why it is negative. And how much work? What is the magnitude? The magnitude is half mv square in this direction, which means it is half minus half mv square. Therefore, you have to apply uh, kinetic energy work equal to the kinetic energy in the opposite direction. Okay. So this question is exactly that of that of from the previous question. This is just that they have given some values and you have to calculate this. Calculate the work required to be done to stop a car of 1500 kg moving at a velocity of 60 km per hour. Now, what did we discuss in the previous question? That the work done in order to bring a car to rest is equal to its kinetic energy but negative, right? Negative value of kinetic energy is the amount of work that needs to be done. We also saw that mathematically. So calculate the work done to, so what we do is we just calculate the kinetic energy. Half into m into v square. Now v is 60, right? So we have to make it into meter per second. 60 into 5 by 8. This is a 16 point. This is 16.66 meter per second. So this is v square is 16.66 into 16.66. So this answer is, if you calculate square of 16.6 is 277. This answer comes to be 0.77. Anyway, so this answer comes to be about 208. No, this is not. Wait. 208,333.3 joules or something of that sort, right? This is the kinetic energy of that. Um, this is the kinetic energy of that car. This is exactly the work that is required to be done. You should write that formula. You should write the formula again. I'm not going to do that again. You have to write that work done is the change in kinetic energy, and then you have to give that this is kinetic energy, and then the second kinetic energy would be 0. Therefore it becomes minus of this, so it is minus 20833.3 joules. Okay, so next one. In each of the following, a force F is acting on an object of mass m, right? This is mass m, and force is acting one in this here, here, and here, right? The direction of displacement is from west to east as shown by the longer arrow, right? So displacement is this, displacement here, displacement here. Observe the diagrams carefully and state whether the work done by the force is negative or positive or 0. Now simple thing, you know, work done is force applied and displacement. If force applied and displacement are in the same direction, then the work done is positive. If force applied and the displacement are in different directions, then it is negative. If force applied and displacement are perpendicular, then the work done is 0, because there is no relation here, right? It is a scalar quantity, is not a vector quantity, right? So either ऊपर जाता या नीचे जाता force apply करने पे, then it would have been something. But if the force applied is in the upward direction and the displacement is in this direction, then the work done is zero. Work done by that force is zero. Okay, so we can easily say that work done by this is zero. Work done by this is, because they're in the same direction, positive, and work done by this because they're in different directions is negative. Okay. Sony says that the acceleration in an object could be zero even when several forces are acting on it. Do you agree with her, and why? What is acceleration? Acceleration is okay, acceleration is change in velocity per unit time. And what is change in velocity? What is velocity? Velocity is the change in displacement. So the displacement per unit time, right? So acceleration is just displacement upon t square. है ना? So unless there is, what does she mean by acceleration of an object would be zero, which means that the displacement would be zero, right? If there is no displacement of object, then the acceleration would be zero. And when would that be? Even when several forces are acting on it. Now there are many. Do you agree with her? Yes, I agree with her. And why do I agree with her? Because just like we saw in the previous object, we saw that when force is acting upward and the displacement is in this, then it is then the work done is zero. In a similar way, you know that in this there is no force being applied, there is no displacement in this direction, upward direction. In this example, there is displacement is in x-axis, but this is done in the upward direction, force. But there is no displacement upwards, which means that there is a force being applied, but there is no displacement in that direction, which means that either there is a net balancing force that is also acting downward, so that there is no net displacement, there is no net force acting on it. So acceleration in an object could be zero even when several forces are acting on it, because the net forces, the forces could be balancing each other. The net force could be zero. So even in, not just in this case, but even in a case where there is a force acting like this and there is a force acting like this, we talked about motion in this case. No, we talked about force being balanced and not balanced, right? Unbalanced forces we have seen. So only unbalanced forces give some amount of motion. If the forces are balanced, then there is no motion. If there is no motion, there is no displacement. So if there is no displacement, which means there is no acceleration. So if the forces are balancing each other, for example, there is a positive force x and there is a negative force, and they're both x in magnitude, therefore there is no net force. So there are two forces acting on an object, but there is no acceleration, right? Or there can be a case where, again, like this one, in this case it is acting perpendicular to the displacement, but there is no acceleration in the upward direction, because there is a certain force which is also probably acting in the downward direction and balancing that force. Therefore there is no net acceleration, there is no net force acting on it. There could also be object, various kinds of forces, इधर जा रहा है, इधर जा रहा है. There is a force यहाँ पर, but there is also force like this. There is a force like this, but there is also force like this, force like this, force like this. There can be several forces acting on an object, but no net displacement, because the net forces acting on an object is zero, and if there is no displacement, then acceleration is zero. Okay. Find the energy in kilowatt hour consumed by 10 hours by 4 devices of power 500 watt each. This is very similar to what you did previously. आपने एक पिछला question किया था. uh, now you have seen power is 500 watt, which is how many kilowatt divided by 1000 is 0.5 kilowatt. Okay, this is the in power of one device. There are 4 such devices, so you multiply by 4, therefore 2 kilowatt. And then how many, for how long was it going on? For 10 hours. Therefore the energy consumed in kilowatt hour is 20 kilowatt hour, right? 2 into 10 hours. This is the energy. A freely falling object eventually stops on reaching the ground. What happens to its kinetic energy? um So what happens to its kinetic energy? We have seen that the kinetic energy is the highest just before it reaches the surface. Once it reaches the surface, it stops. In sand, you saw that in sand we have done this activity in one of the previous parts. You saw that when it is done on sand, the sand gadha ban jata hai, right? And the ball is in that gadha, in that hole. So what happens is, there are, on reaching ground, what it transfers all its energy to different particles found in the ground like this. All of its energy gets transferred. A lot of times what happens is, if the ball is, for example, made of rubber, or if the ground is something like this, then it bounces off first. If the ground is solid, ekdam solid ground hoga, it bounces off first, and then it comes down, bounces again, comes down. Why does that happen? That happens because it bounces, but it has not lost all of its energy. It reaches the ground is solid, therefore the particles cannot really move like this, right? Therefore it still has some energy. That is why it bounces and comes up again. Still has some kinetic energy. Then it reaches this top, has some potential energy, comes down. Then again there is some radiation of energy, but since the particles are solid, then it it is not able to transfer all its energy to the ground, therefore it bounces off again. Or if the ground is really soft, this happens when the ground is really hard. If the ground is soft, for example in a bed of sand, or if you have a mattress, or if you have a pillow or something, then what happens is, the particles move down, they all get that same energy, right? They absorb the energy given off by this ball, and the kinetic energy is transferred to these particles in the form of kinetic energy of these particles, just like we saw in the case of the pendulum, right? The air particles were getting this energy. In this case, the ground absorbs the energy. The energy is transferred to the ground, doesn't absorb the energy. The energy is transferred to the particles of the ground, right? And when this happens, the ball loses its kinetic energy. The kinetic energy of the ball comes to zero, but this kinetic energy is transferred to these different particles. Therefore there is law of conservation of energy is always maintained. Okay, so this is what happens when it reaches the ground. The kinetic energy of the ball is transferred in the form of kinetic energy of particles to the particles of the ground, right? If all of the energy doesn't get transferred in the uh, first time it reaches, then what happens is, there is a certain bouncing of the ball until all of the energy is transferred to the ground. And bouncing of the ball also gives off energy to the air particles, right? So this is what happens. Okay, so we have come to the end of this chapter. This is the entire summary of this chapter. We have done all of these things, and um, I think we have done until this part is in the first part. From this talking about mechanical energy, this is the second part, and this is the third part. Okay, so if you have any problems, if you have any questions regarding these points, please watch these parts again. And if you have any query, of course you can also email us. And I hope you have understood all the numericals and the questions. They're pretty easy questions, very logical questions. If you just understand this chapter properly, it's actually very easy chapter. There is nothing much. You just have two formulae, that is for kinetic energy and potential energy, and then there's interconversion, and work is the change in kinetic energy and stuff like this. So all of it is quite easy, and I think very simple. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up below. Please comment on this video to tell us what you liked, what you didn't like. And you can also email us if you have any query. Share this video with your friends, subscribe to our channel, and press the bell icon so that you get notified every time we upload a new video. Okay, so for now I bid you goodbye. I'll see you in the next chapter.